welcome to another episode of Pursuit. We will be starting a new series this episode entitled Finding Truth, I believe. That's the official name.
Yes.
But before we're going to find our truth, we're going to find which Stranger Things cast member we will be marrying by designing our dream wedding. Are any of us close to designing an actual wedding?
No,
I don't know. If you're just a fun. Okay, yeah, me neither. Okay. That's just a question to ask.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like some girls already have a plan
Yeah,
out.
exactly. Okay, first question. Choose a venue. Are we going to put them up? It's up. Relax. First question. Choose a venue. What is a music venue? Like a concert? Like a...
I don't know. It's giving very rock vibes. So
right?
it's not
like
me.
mosh pit. Like...
Yeah.
I mean, I guess.
Ooh.
The forest is giving Bella Edward.
It's giving
Twilight.
I'm crossed between a small castle and a garden.
Me too.
Oh, there's more choices.
I think I'm gonna go with garden though.
I'll do a small castle.
Okay. We'll go to each other's wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of want to do the music venue now.
Okay.
Okay.
Next, choose your wedding day attire. Ooh, they have little men options.
I'm kind of glad,
The first one.
I think
even
I'm
though
gonna do
they
the first-
literally
yeah.
look like
Yeah.
the same guy, just in two different color suits.
Yeah, they're different suits.
But they're all the same style. Oh, there are names there. Never mind. I feel bad now.
Yeah.
I
Come on.
just-
You chose one? Okay.
I'm picking Perfect by Ed Sheeran.
Basic. No, I'm kidding. I wouldn't pick any of these as my songs.
Yeah. I don't even know any of these except for Perfect by Ed Sheeran. So.
You don't know Sweet Creature?
No, what is that?
Sweet creature. I'm not gonna do the rest. But it goes, it's like that.
I would like you to sing Perfect
you.
at Ed
I will
Sheeran
not
by my
immediately
wedding.
know. I don't know. Are we gonna get copywritten?
Yes, we will.
I'll do
we
Sweet
can't. We
Creature.
can't play it. We can't play it.
I'll do Harry Styles.
I'm doing Nothing Else Matters since
I knew
it
you were
works.
gonna do that.
Well, it works with
Yeah,
my
with the venue.
my venue thing,
Alright.
and it's a better song than Perfect, but whatever.
That is very subjective. Pick a table setting. Ooh.
Oh, by the way, you're seeing all of my answers on screen. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you said what they were.
I don't think I've really said much for the first.
Yeah, you did. The music
Oh.
venue and then.
I didn't say anything for the guy one, the wedding
you only
attire.
had two options. Well, there's not much you can say. Okay, table setting.
Jeez.
Hold on. Did you pick the lighter suit or the darker one?
If you were paying attention, you would have seen.
I'm going with option number 5.
Ooh, I like that one with the wildflowers. That's
Mhm.
cute. I'm between that one and number 3. But actually no, it looks a little too messy. I'm gonna do number 1, the first one.
Yeah, I was between those two.
Oh my god. How many guests are invited? Are we talking like a realistic thing?
Yeah, I
Pick
guess.
a random answer.
No, because my family is too big.
How many guests do you want to be there?
No, how many
That's-
guests are invited is the question. So
Right,
I'm going to
so-
say 200 plus.
But don't you choose
Nah.
who's invited to your wedding?
I can't not invite my family.
Oh.
Exactly.
I'm gonna do like
Exactly. I don't know if are we going to I don't want to say things that we're going to leave in.
Let's not.
I'm gonna do 101 to 200.
That's solid.
21 to 40. I know it's super unrealistic, but that's what I want.
Tiny. Finally,
Yep.
choose a honeymoon destination. France, the Grand Canyon, Tahiti, Scotland, Sweden, Japan.
Who's going to the Grand Canyon for the honeymoon?
Hikers? Nature people? I'm going to do Sweden.
I'm doing Tahiti.
I'm going to need you to pick a destination, sir.
I know. I'm trying to. Oh, they're trying to show me something.
No, I was cracking my elbow.
I guess Tahiti.
All right, are we ready? Drum roll. You have to put down. Is everyone done? Okay. Ooh, party.
I guess you could turn the thing off now.
Yes. Look what I got. It
So
was
did
meant to be.
I. I got Steve Harrington. Steve. Well, the one thing you can be sure of is that he'll make a great dad one day. Why is he not wearing
Aw.
clothes in this picture?
I think
Hello?
so too.
Because these are pictures from the latest season.
Heaven.
Not you guys getting Argyle.
Who is Argyle? Hey,
New
dude,
character.
just chill out. You and Argyle will make a totally rad pair.
I honestly feel like it does make sense that we'll get Argyle with the answers I put.
Yeah. Yeah. Or what's that other guy? I thought you were gonna with the music venue, the one that died. Oh wait, I don't wanna.
The one that Christina got?
Yes, yes. I thought you were Eddie.
You know how long it took me to realize that TikTok was from him? I really didn't put it together for a very long time. It was really bad.
He's the Australian guy, right? He's not
I think
Australian in
so.
the show, but like in
Yeah.
real life. But you don't even be sleeping.
I love what she said, not realizing what the actual context of it's about. Of him saying that. Has nothing to do with her being asleep.
No, it doesn't. I'm assuming it doesn't, but okay. Now, finding truth.
Okay, so now that we found our truth and who
true
we're gonna
loves.
marry, from Stranger Things,
I kid.
yeah. So I think that this study is gonna be really interesting. Not that they all aren't, but it's talking about finding your truth, and I think that this is really important when we live in a time where there's so many opinions, and especially with this generation, I feel like it's easy to be influenced. I mean, literally, there are jobs like influencers. So, yeah, I think it's easy to get caught up in like other people's decisions and opinions. So, how like I guess we'll start off with how do you handle conversations with friends who don't believe in the Bible?
You can go first.
So I did have in high school there was this guy that was an atheist, and I was like one of the very few like church people that like actively went to church and was very active within their church. So he would always try to trip me up. But I don't like to lose. So he would always come at me with like these random verses and take them completely out of context and try to say like, oh, well, the Bible says this. Why do you believe that? Or like, what's happening there? And I was like, well, do you know what he's talking about in this verse? Like,
Did you know what was being talked about?
because they're like the most generic random verses that always get taken out of context. What?
So I got hit, and we have to take this out. I was watching a podcast, and someone's like, "Yeah, the Bible's so weird. Like, they kill this woman in Judges 19." I was like, "Wait, what?" I spent like 30 minutes reading through Judges 19, 2021 to understand why this woman got killed. Because the way they said it was like the Bible just like condoned just like randomly killing women.
Yeah.
And that's not what happens at all in the story. But it's like, and then it's just like a really crazy story. Like, we'll talk about it after. It's a crazy story. I didn't know it was in the Bible. But yeah, that's why I was because like someone said, and I was like, I have no clue what happens in Judges 19. I need to go read it right now. But please continue.
So I think when people say that they don't believe in the Bible, they don't believe in their connotation of the Bible. So a lot of the times, the things that they aren't believing in are the things that get taken out of context versus like the Bible as a whole. So like a lot of times you can take a random verse and say, oh, the Bible is saying not to like these people because they're wrong. But it's like, no, it's not saying that. You have to look at it in the grand scheme of the things because God is love, right? So the Bible is preaching of love. So for it to say like, oh, you can't love certain people just because they are, that's clearly not what it's saying.
Yeah, I feel like the Bible, like people take it too literally, and like because of the stories and stuff, it can feel like outdated to them.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like it's up for interpretation. So I feel like if you're not really like if you're not trying to understand what this story like it can even though the story is like, you know, kind of outdated in a way, like
It can seem,
yeah,
yeah.
you can still interpret it in your everyday life. Like
I think along with that, a lot of times people say it's outdated, but when you look at it in context of the time period that it was in, a lot of it is still applicable today.
So I will change one word you were saying and not interpret it, but application. Because part of the problem is like with your friend, they're interpreting it one way that's wrong,
yeah.
right? So we just gotta be careful with that word. But I think like for me, I didn't really have this problem in school with like people challenging me on like my beliefs. I do have a family member that recently challenged me on some things, and because I know the type of person they are, that kind of determines how like I handle the situation. So like the conversation started about something else entirely, and then it just went into like, oh my gosh, Kevin, I don't know how I'm gonna do this and that, and I'm like, it's 11 o'clock at night. Let's not have a serious conversation right now. I know you're in a different time zone, but still, it's still nighttime by you. I know you worked a full day. Let's not do this right now. She persisted, and I was like, all right, we're doing this. But one of the things I've learned is that when I get into those situations, it's lead with love first, right? So, to be honest, her whole line of reasoning was just silly, right? Like none of it made sense what she was really trying to get to, right? And it just seemed more like she just seemed to be parroting talking points you would see on like Twitter or
Yeah.
Instagram or something. And I could have, I feel, logically won the debate, but I don't think that would have done any good in the long run. So for me, it was like, yeah, you know, for me, it was kind of trying to show her some empathy and like, hey, look, I get that what you're talking about is a serious thing and it's scary, right? But understand, I don't agree with how you're going about solving this problem. I don't agree with what you're doing because I believe this is what I believe in the Bible says, and you know, this is how I choose to live my life. I get you don't choose to live that way, and I'm not telling you that you should. I'm just saying, for me, this is what I believe. If I was in that situation, I would handle it this way. So that's to me has been the way I've been trying to approach a lot of these topics. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a really good way to have handled that situation because sometimes it's, or at least for me, I know that it's kind of intimidating, like, especially speaking with people like your friends who don't, who are challenging you about the things that you believe in. And I mean, I remember this one time where, you know, like the story of like Peter walking out in faith, walking out on water, right? I believe one of my friends were like, they said something along the lines of, oh, like the Bible, it doesn't like speak like real things because like how is that even possible? And they're like gravity, blah blah blah. And I'm like I remember like getting upset about it, and then like it's like what does that solve at the end of the day? Like that conversation did get a little bit heated, but it's like that didn't show them who God is and what like love thy neighbor, you know, like he wants us to lead with love, as you know Kevin said. So I feel like that was a really great way to handle that situation.
Yeah. I think a lot of times it's easy when someone is challenging you to feel like you need to match the energy. But a lot of times it's like, how are they learning from the fact that you're fighting back? Like fire with fire, you're going to make a bigger flame, right?
Yep.
I mean, one of the things that I would just say that I've learned to keep in mind it's not just leading with love. I don't even know, I feel like that's gonna become my catchphrase or something. But it's if they're willing to talk to me about Christ, whether they're coming at it from a negative connotation or a negative place, to me, what I'm seeing is the door to talk about Christ has been open. So I have to handle that in a serious way, whether it's a lighthearted conversation with a friend or you're being challenged by someone, whatever the case is, right? Like for me, it wasn't even that I was really even being challenged on the issue. It was just she has this concern about certain things, right? And she feels as though the biblical answer is wrong, right? And that's because she's, as you were telling the atheist person, right? You're not looking at it within the full context of what God is saying. You're looking at this one verse that's been plucked out of context and been reposted and even weaponized against people, which is wrong. So I think when you get into those situations, kind of understand, I guess, the opportunity God is giving you, right? And I'm not saying you have to like break down and go into like the whole gospel and like be like, hey, Jesus loves you. Do you want to do like a sinner's prayer now? Or, because I know there are people who are like that too. But I think the greater thing is just, hey, the door's open. I can maybe drop a seed in now. And maybe someone else comes by and they're the ones that reap the benefits, as far as seeing that person get saved or anything. But I think it's important to keep that in mind when we talk about having conversations with friends who don't believe in the Bible.
Yeah. And also, like, I feel like with this world having a lot of like sin and chaos in it, it's kind of hard for people to see God's love in that when it kind of gets loud and overshadowed sometimes. I mean, I know like one of the most common questions that I've got is, well, if God is so real, then why does he allow bad things to happen in life? So I guess my question is, why do you think people have a hard time believing in the Bible?
I think this kind of goes back to what we were talking about in last week's episode on Psalms 23, which is people are taking their human rationale as to what they feel God should be to them, and then mad when God is not who they want him to be. Right? I understand if God is so, that would have been such a good catch.
It would have been so good.
I understand the feeling of, if God is so powerful, why doesn't he just snap his finger and stop all the bad things from happening? Right? I understand that question. I understand it even more when you're the victim of the bad things happening in life. I get that. But if you understand who God is, not who you want him to be, you'll understand if he was to snap his fingers, right? Him snapping his fingers, it's, I'm trying not to make a joke here, but it would be what you were talking about last episode, right? He's literally taking away all your consent.
Yeah. Ooh.
Right? If God snaps his fingers, what he has essentially done is taking away your consent to have any free will or agency to do whatever it is you please. And God has given you that ability, right? And you can't say that God loves me so he would stop all these things from happening, because, again, if God was to snap his fingers and he was to force his love on you, that's another word that we can't say here. That starts with the letter R, right? That's what it is, right? But often we find ourselves in these places where we want God to do something and act in a way that we feel is the right way. And when you actually read the Bible and realize a lot of times the way we want God to act and the way he does act are in conflict. And I feel like that's when you see people go, I'm not going to believe in this book then. Because there are other religions out there where you can kind of get a version of, or be fed a version of a God who is what you want him to be. right? And you'll see people gravitate to that. Yeah.
I think to also go back to one of the other questions you had mentioned, like it wasn't your main question, but you had said it. Like, if God is real, why do good things why do bad things happen to like good people or whatever? But a lot of the times, a lot of the bad things that people are referencing when they ask this question are results of their actions.
Yep.
And so they're not seeing it as a result of their actions, but they're seeing it as a very bad thing that's just happening to them. But that's also like taking that singular verse out of context. Why are you in this situation to begin with? Now, I know some things, it's not always going to be a result of your actions, right? Sometimes bad things just happen, right? But also, how can I phrase it? Because like God doesn't have dominion over the earth. What's the like I know like God is God, right? But like when he cast Satan down onto the earth, right?
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Not quite sure. Hoping you'd give me a little more to go on.
So like when he cast Satan down to the earth, he was like, all right, not like have at it, but like I don't know how to.
I feel like you are conflating two ideas. I know where you're going with. I feel like you're conflating two ideas.
Explain it.
So you're talking about the fact that, how do I put it now? When Adam and Eve were on the earth, they were given authority over the earth.
Yes.
They sinned, and then Satan had the authority, but then Jesus dies on the cross, and he gets that authority back.
Okay. Correct.
Yeah. That's why I wasn't sure. I feel like you were conflicting with something else. So, okay.
Okay. I don't remember where I was going with that.
So I think where you were going with it, as far as when it comes to bad things happening, it's understanding, right, that we live in a world that even though Christ has died for our sins, he has not actually redeemed the earth yet. And I'm trying to say this without making it super complicated.
I don't want to.
Right? So what I mean by that is, I feel like we spoke about this before. When we talk about redemption and salvation, it is available to everyone, but it is a personal choice to accept it.
Yes.
Right? God has not. There is a time in the Bible in the future in which Jesus will come down and I believe the term is actually just redeem the earth, right? And sin will kind of go away. Until that day, sin exists. Sin is part of human nature is sin, right? And it is only through the blood of Christ, through what Jesus did on the cross, that our spirits are redeemed, so we can have a relationship with him. I feel like you were trying to say something along those lines. So I feel like I gave you enough to jump back in.
Now there's pressure. What if I don't? Ooh. But yeah, like you were saying, like we all have that choice to either accept the grace of God or not. And so a lot of times when we don't accept it and we just think we know what it is that we're doing and we fall into those fleshly behaviors and like the sinful natures, I don't want to say bad things are bound to happen, but you're not really setting yourself up for spiritual success.
Yeah. I feel like having knowledge to answer that hard question of like, why do, bad things happen to good people, it really comes down to like, God didn't create sin. We sin, and he gives us, as you said, free will to make our own choices. And those choices come with consequences. Like, yes, he has all the answers. He knows what's right, what the right thing to do is, but we don't. And if he gave us all those answers, we would never learn. It's like, you're a teacher, you have all the answers, but you wouldn't.
I don't.
Okay, well,
I don't.
For your lesson plan for your children, you do. But they wouldn't learn anything if you were feeding them any answers. They wouldn't be able to grow and expand their knowledge. So, yeah, I feel like that's people only like want God when it's
convenient
for them.
Well, I feel like you kind of touched on something there with the teacher analogy, right? It's people want the people only really want the resolution to the issue. They don't want the in math class when you have to like show your work. They don't want to do all of that. They don't want to show all
Do you
their
remember
work.
when you used to prove triangles?
Yeah. Well, that was the easiest thing ever.
I hated it.
I
Ew,
love math, so
Ew.
Yeah, I like math, but
No, I hate
why do I
math.
have to
I
prove
love
to you
math.
this is a triangle? It's clearly a
Um,
triangle. It has 3 sides. Equals 180. Hello?
all right, side note, the point of that is not actually the math, but it's a way of understanding how to conceptualize things and think. That's why it's important, but that's neither here nor there. I think for a lot of people, we just want to just write the answer down and get a check mark that, hey, this is it, and we're out of the situation. Whereas with God, I think we sometimes lose sight of the fact that with God, the process, the work, proving a triangle is a triangle, is just as important to him as just getting to the destination of the end of the problem. And I think for a lot of us, that's a hard thing to understand. And I think it gets harder because of the world we live in where a lot of things are instantaneous. Like most of the things in the world are created for the convenience of how fast can we get something to you, right? And how many middlemen can we cut out, right? Like that's a lot of what our world is. So when you like people, if you're growing up in that now, right? I can see why people have an issue with God because it's like, well, why should I wait for an answer? Yeah.
Just processing. Those were very wise words. Thank you so much. Um, so, my my next question: how does it make you feel when others judge your opinion on how to live? Then,
So with that, I feel like a lot of people associate being a Christian with judgment, right? Like Christians will judge you for your life.
yeah.
But then in turn, they also are judging you for being a Christian. So it's like, how does that work? Like, how do you think I'm wrong because you think I'm judging you, regardless of the fact that if I am or not? But then you're judging me because you think I'm judging you?
Yeah, but it was
Make it make sense.
it made sense though.
No, I mean like them judging me for thinking that I'm judging them. Like make that make sense.
I thought you were commenting back to.
No.
So one of the things like I always thought was funny was there's a comedian, he was talking about the fact that he doesn't drink, he doesn't do drugs. And he's like, obviously most of the comedians that he knows and he hangs out with, they drink because, you're backstage. Not like
Like a social.
yeah, they're
type of
drinking or
thing.
whatever, right? And they'd be like, yo, do you want to drink or whatever? And he'd be like, no, I don't drink. And he made the point of saying that people would always be confused at the fact that he doesn't drink. And he's like, why do I want to put this poison into like my body or this whatever? He makes a joke about it. But I always thought it was funny. It's like, as a Christian, if there's something I choose to like abstain from, people will be like offended that I've chosen to. I'm like, I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying I don't. Like I remember I went out with a friend, and I meant to tell the story earlier. I had a friend. We went to elementary school together. They moved away. We ended up going to the same college together. They got saved sometime before college started, and they were just like, oh my gosh, Kevin, you need to come to church with me. Like your life will be so different. And I'm like, I go to church. I've gone to church all my life. And they're like, really? And that really, the way they said it, that cut so deep because they questioned my entire Christianity. I meant to say it before when we were talking about people and unbelievers.
Damn,
and stuff.
how were you living in elementary school?
I don't know. I really don't know what I was doing. But clearly I was wrong. But I totally forgot what I was going to say now. But yeah, I'm just gonna leave it there. I forgot what I was talking about.
I don't
Before
think you
that.
answered the question.
What was the question? Remind me.
How does it make you feel when others judge your opinion on how to live?
Oh yeah. There we go. The comedian and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I've always found it very strange. See Ariel's long sentence about why it's strange. But for me, at the same time, I've been able to surround myself with people who, if they don't believe in the Bible, they respect me enough to respect my decisions of, hey, I'm going to do this, this, and this, right? I'm not going to force you guys to do what I'm doing, but understand I'm not going to partake in this. Oh, now I remember why I brought my friend, because we ended up going to dinner, and we were like, first thing you order when you sit on the table is something to drink. So I'm just like, all right, let me just get an iced tea. And they looked at me like, oh, you're getting a Long Island iced tea? I'm like, no, just a regular iced tea. I don't drink. They're like, oh, you don't drink? I'm like, no. They're like, oh, no, I can't drink. I'm like, I drove us here. You can drink, because now it's going to be like a drunk driver. If you want to do that, go ahead. Like, do whatever you want to do. I'm not here to judge or anything. And it was just like, no, because I can't be the only one drinking. And I was like, and I kind of told him, I was like, yo, drinking got a lot of rules. It don't sound that fun. And they got very mad with me for that. They don't talk to me that much anymore. But yeah, that's kind of how I've been handling those judgments. Sorry, I feel like I just slapped you and I didn't mean to.
Tapped my knee.
Sorry. I'm surprised you didn't like kick me with your reflexes. Because it wasn't that you. Also, that's like the bone part. There's no like. I really didn't know where I hit.
It's basically all bone, really, to be honest. Anyways.
Yeah. So, anyways, I feel like people in this culture pick and choose. As we've been saying, what they want to.
I think
what is acceptable and what is not acceptable.
It's very easy to just pick and choose what fits your fancy.
Yeah. Like, for example, like someone who is a vegetarian, like they're not going to be judged for not eating meat. But like, if like, as you said, well, okay, we don't judge here.
No, okay. But what I do judge are those vegans that feel the need to constantly remind you about the fact that they're vegan and that what you're eating is probably destroying your body because it's not vegan. That's what I judge. I have no right to judge, though.
If you want to be vegan, that's fine. Just don't judge me when I choose to not eat that way. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And you don't need to constantly remind people that you are vegan.
Right. So, anyways, I'm just gonna go to the next question. Yeah. What might it look like for you to stand firm in your identity when your friends or your classmates judge you? Well, we don't have classmates anymore. Just friends.
Repeat the question one more time.
Okay. What might it look like for you to stand firm in your identity when your friends judge you?
I'm not really sure. I mean, I think it would have to be you just. I think part of that's going to be you being willing to lose friends.
Yep.
Just if you're going to stand firm on your faith, I think part of that is, hey, I may lose friends over this. To me, that's the biggest thing that may be the last time they talk to you for a while.
Well, I had another question before you answered it.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I didn't want to cut you off. But have you ever had to stand firm in front, like, for your friends to be like, hey, no, like, I distinctly am drawing the line, regardless of how many times you ask me, this is where I stand?
I think most of the times I think of honestly are more so it was people joking around with me, and it's like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. I can think of most of the times I did not stand for what I believe in and just kind of went with things, and I know just the detours in life that's taken me down through whatever. But yeah, I mean the only serious one I can think of that's been, I would say, more so recent, has essentially just killed a friendship because I came to a point where I realized I cannot be friends with this person and still be Christian. Like there is no way, because of the things they want me to do, the places they want to go. I'm like, this. I have to draw a line in the sand here and be like, all right, no, we're done.
I definitely have had to do that. Something along like similar, but like in high school, I think like at that time I was getting stronger in my faith and my walk with God, and certain like worldly things were just like, it made me feel weird doing them. Like I just didn't feel like I wanted to anymore. And this one friend, she was like really, she would be like, oh, you're so fake now because you don't want to, and like I had to like lose her, but like in a way like it was like a good thing. Like because why would you even want friends like that who can't, like, you can't support each other's way of living.
I think it is important to note that like a lot of times it'll be hard in the moment, but when you look back at it, it's like you're losing a friend, but you're really gaining a whole lot more.
Exactly.
I feel like that's the corniest thing I've ever said in my life.
It definitely is.
100%. But like you're gaining so much more in terms of who you are as a person. So like if I were to stick around with this person just because of history versus like the actual quality of our friendship, I feel like that's not worth it. Like just because I've known you for my whole life does not mean I need to know you for the rest of it.
Exactly.
Well, I think it's not even that what you gain personally. I think it's that you gain a deeper relationship with God because you've removed something that's either going to pull you away from God or it's going to plateau your relationship with God. And I think like for me with like the friend that I was talking about, it wasn't necessarily that they pulled me away from God. It's just that I knew the longer I was friends with them, my relationship with God will never go past this point. It will always be here. And I was like, am I going to be happy here? Because I've come to understand that there are other people that I've known growing up like in church who, for whatever reason, whether it's the friends they kept, the person they married, whatever it is, they hit a point in their Christianity and they plateaued and they were content with it. And for me, I was just like, I don't think I can be content with that. And I think that was one of the struggles I had with my friend, where it's like, yo, like I care about you. I want to be friends with you, but my relationship with God has to take priority. And for it to take priority, I have to get off of this plateau, and getting off this plateau means leaving you behind.
Well, then how did you go about having that conversation? Because I know it's a hard thing for a lot of people to do.
You want the truth?
Yeah.
Did not have a conversation. Just it was a cold turkey thing.
Oh.
Because the only way that it could have been done was a cold turkey thing. Because I know if I had talked to him, I would have been like, oh yeah, no, we can change, and it had to be cold turkey.
You ghosted.
Not really. Like it's complicated, but like I didn't ghost them. I've gotten to a point where I know, okay, this isn't gonna happen, and that's it.
But you didn't have a I can't be friends with you conversation.
Correct.
Have you spoken to them since you've had this realization?
Yes. I told you it's complicated. I'm a complicated person. but my relationship with God is better for it. So I'm gonna get a lot of questions after this episode airs. Like, yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay, well, hopefully you learned something in this episode. I mean, I learned something, so. No, but I think it's important, to note that, like, with everything that, with just living in the culture and the generation that we do, you're gonna get different opinions. You're gonna have to, I guess, ice people out, ghost people if you want to.
I don't condone ghosting.
No, but you're gonna have to have and make difficult decisions and conversations. But as long as you are staying true to yourself and you know what is important to you, I think that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think we should read this one scripture before we wrap the episode. Isaiah 55, 8-9.
Mm-hmm.
I'll read from the New Living Translation. My thoughts are nothing like your thoughts, says the Lord, and my ways are beyond anything you could imagine. For just as the heavens are higher than the earth, so my ways are higher than your ways, and my thoughts are higher than your thoughts. So I feel like we said everything we said tonight because this is one of the core things you need to understand as a Christian, right? That when an atheist friend or atheist person
It's not a friend.
Sorry. An atheist person in your vicinity challenges you, right? And there may be situations where they challenge you on a verse and you don't know what the context of that verse is, right? Or it might be a family member who challenges you or whatever it is, right? There are times when I think it's easy to kind of lose sight of who God is and kind of be like, hey, maybe the Bible is wrong here about this, or I don't like what the Bible is saying here about this. And there's been times when I felt that way too, and it took me a while to understand what is God saying. And I think what Isaiah reminds us of here is the fact that God is not looking at things through the human lens. He's looking at it the way only he could look at it as God, right? That's why he says his thoughts are nothing like our thoughts and his ways are far beyond anything we could imagine. So when God is not just looking at a solution, but hey, there's a process you need to go through this season in life. I mean, last week we spoke about even though you're going through the valley of the shadow of death, David ends Psalms 23 in verse 6 by saying, yet surely goodness and mercy are following me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So I think when we talk about being challenged on our faith and talking about trying to find truth, we have to understand that truth is found in God, in his word, because his ways are not our ways, his thoughts are not our thoughts. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you guys so much. See you next week.